Right, hello there friends and welcome to Raving with Rua here on the YouTube channel Songs from the Rua Room, episode number 13 tonight. It's the 23rd of January. Thank you for joining again. If anybody has watching live, as per usual, please let us know in the comment section or in the chat where you're watching from. If you have any questions or comments for me or my guest tonight, please feel free. As always, folks, if you want to subscribe, that would be great. Please hit that subscribe button below and all that good stuff. Like and share this video would be mighty. Let your friends know you're watching live as well if you are watching live. If you would like to donate to the show, the virtual tip jar is always open there as well. Links below as always. Tonight's live stream brought to you, as always, by the brilliant people at G Sharp Guitars, the world's finest travel electric guitars. So yeah, so how's everybody doing? Are you watching live? Where are you watching live from? Say hi in the comments. My guest tonight is based in Barcelona, and her name is Tori Sparks. I met Tori, I think, around 2014, maybe 2014, I think, on the island of Samsø, Denmark. We were at a songwriting workshop under the direction of the mighty Brett Perkins. And yeah, haven't seen her since. But we're going to have a chat tonight. And I think she's there in the green room. So she has a brand new live album out. It's been said in a rock magazine that this woman is one of the top 5 voices on the Spanish scene, and I think you'll agree when you hear her songs. Yeah, let's go talk to Tori. She's over there in Barcelona. Are you there, Tori Sparks?
Right,
there
no,
she is. Good evening. I had you muted. Good evening, Tori Sparks. How are you?
I think a lot of people in my life probably would like to mute me at times. I'm fine. How are you?
And Happy New Year to you. Long time no see.
I know. Oh, wait. Which way am I going? See, we have a guest of a guest. This is my secretary.
Oh, you have? Look. Who's that?
Yola.
Hello there.
Spanish, sorry. Anyway.
Is it a he or a she? What's her name?
Is a she. She's just a bit crazy, but we love her.
She's gorgeous. Hello there. Welcome to Raving with Rua. What's her name?
She's going to me royalties later on.
Super nice.
Her name used to be Ita, but she's so bad we just call her Bad Kitty. Right, sweetie?
I just call her Bad. I've got a couple here myself. Yeah. So how are things in Barcelona?
They're good. They're crazy, but they're good.
Yeah, you seem to be very busy these days with your gigs and with your releases and all that kind of stuff. You're doing really well.
Thank you. Well, I'm lucky because I mean it's a lot of work. It's not like it's just here and I. By the way, I don't usually wear this much makeup sitting at home in my little office. You know, I sit here and I just look like this naturally, and amazing things just happen. Like no. To make enough money to pay for the cat litter, you know. But no, I've been lucky here because I've fallen into several circles of different groups of music people here, and we've been treated extremely well by the press, really great by the public, and the year started out really wonderful, promoting the new record, and as well as a couple different benefit concerts that I always participate in every year. And I feel very, when New Year's Eve was a few weeks ago, and you just stop to reflect on your life in those moments, and I stopped to think about it, and really I never could have imagined how great things will be here.
Seems like you're on a good thing, on a nice wave there. The new album is called Wait No More.
Yes, exactly.
Is that right? Yes, it is. And where was that recorded, or how long has it been released now?
Well, it's ironic, the name, because it's the title track of the album is also called Wait No More, and it's a song title. So, but then the title of the record became ironic because we started talking about it when we recorded it because it was a live recording, and then people had to wait forever to actually get the record. So it was like, ha. It
was a bit of a wait.
Yeah, but in September of 2018, which now that we're in 2020 sounds like 1994. But we did a live recording in a venue here called Luz de Gas, which is beautiful theater and about 500 people, and we recorded 3 hours worth of a concert. And this is the 7th album that I've done but the third one with this band. And we just were crazy enough to say, you know what, we're going to do a live record and see how it goes. And we released it then for Record Store Day this past year, 2019, which is, if people don't know what that is, it's when artists all over the world, it could be me, it could be somebody like Prince, who posthumously releases something, release a record specifically for that day. So we released the vinyl album of a selection of the songs from that concert on Record Store Day, and then we released a double CD a couple weeks later. And it was definitely a lot of work, man, especially because, you know, the guys who were remodeling my house at the time shut my water off the day of the concert. But
on the way,
it was awesome. And then, of course, my poor sound engineer Andres, who's only 25 or 26 years old, he's amazing. We started out with the idea of doing a vinyl, and then we ended up doing a double CD. So this guy was just like, but he dealt with it very well.
So it's on vinyl as well.
Yes, the idea was just to do a vinyl only, because everybody's all about, you know, digital singles, and 5 minutes later you have to do something else. And I'm kind of in terms of people my age are, you know, weird middle ground where we are old enough to remember the old school audio formats, but young enough to also feel comfortable with the digital, you know. So I was like, no, man, I want to go for the old school. I'm tired of this digital shit. Can I say that on this?
Yeah. You can, yeah. Absolutely.
Because it's
freedom of speech.
Right, exactly. Well, digital is beautiful because it allows you many, many, many opportunities and a lot of flexibility. But sometimes I feel like things become so disposable in music, you know. So we were just going to do the vinyl, but then, of course, we had people ask us, no, you have to release a CD or digital or something, because not everybody has a record player. So that's what we did.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a viewer from Belgium called Luke. How you, Luke? Beauty and the Beast, he says. Nice to join you. Thanks very much, Luke.
I'm not that bad. Okay.
I know who he's calling the Beast. Yeah, I know he's calling the Beast. Thanks, Luke. Thanks for joining in. Thank you for joining us. Before I forget, I must put your website up there as well. Everything Tori Sparks related, of course. ToriSparks.com. We'll get all the info, including links to all the music, where they can buy the record, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Marvelous. What is it? Let's go back a little bit. Just talk about your because you're originally from Chicago.
Yes.
And you only moved to Barcelona when in the 2000 and
11? I had to think about it.
Yeah. Well, so what was it like? What was it like before? Say pre Barcelona. Just tell us a little bit about your music life and your home life in Chicago up to that point.
Well, actually, I put Chicago on the website, which is true, but I put it on the website because it just sounds cool, you know. Chicago's so I was born in Chicago, but then I lived in Raleigh, North Carolina, in Atlanta, Georgia, Sarasota, Florida, Tallahassee, Florida. I was in Paris studying, and then I was in Nashville, Tennessee, and then I was in Barcelona. So really, technically, my life was in Nashville, musically speaking, before I moved here, which basically it's night and day in terms of Barcelona and Nashville, because Nashville I've been told it's changed, I'm not sure, but it was extremely conservative in terms of the kinds of music that Nashville wanted to hear. Yes. But you also got these just insane levels of professionalism and talent, and 100 amazing studios on every corner, and any number of guitar players that sound like, I mean, you're so spoiled there because everything is of such high quality. However, the material they were looking for was the kind of material that wasn't very interesting to me. Honestly, at the end of the night, you'd end up hearing like the sound guy would get up on stage and play a song while the janitors were sweeping up, and it would be better than anything you heard at the shows all night, right? Like my friends who are musicians there are such creative, amazing people, but they tended not to be the ones who really, really made it, so to speak, because they were the ones who kind of went on their own path and did their own kind of music. They didn't do pop country. And so I eventually left partly because of that, not because pop country's bad, but just because if you do anything else, it's not the city for you, except that I've been told that since Jack White moved in, things are a little better.
Did you, and you had, of course, you had released albums prior to moving to Spain, I guess. I mean, under Tori Sparks. And was it to a label, or was it in your own label, or how
Well, that's how I ended up in Nashville, because I was at the university in Tallahassee, Florida, studying theater and classical music and business and all kinds of just random things that I thought were interesting at the time. And I was approached by a record label based in Nashville, which I originally thought was a joke because I was like, "What? Who are you? I don't sing country music. Leave me alone." Like, I thought it was some kind of weird prank, but no, it was legit.
Yeah.
And I ended up working with this record label for a very short time. But by legit, I mean they are technically legitly a label, but they were actually very unscrupulous people. So I separated from them rather quickly. But I stayed in Nashville because I was lucky and I got to know some really great musicians there, mostly through a percussion player named Matthew Burgess and a sound an engineer who had his own studio, David Henry. And through them, I ended up meeting these fantastic musicians that participate in my records, like Paris Delane, who's this great singer who has this voice that you can't even imagine, Mike Ferris, Victor Krause, Fats Kaplan, just such great people. So I learned so much from these people, you know, because I was at the time, I was like 21 or 22, recording albums with people who had played with the Rolling Stones, you know, so
Wow.
I learned so much.
What an experience. Yeah.
Yeah, and what they taught me enabled me to do what I do now, you know, and that was, most of those records were released on my own label, Glass Mountain Records, except for the first one, which was released by the unscrupulous Sharky Weird label.
Yes. And did you have like a lot of sort of family influences growing up in the music scene, or was it just sort of outside influences, or how did it come about, like from the early days?
I don't know. Everybody asks that, and they ask my mom that too, that she's
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
My family.
You've got brothers and sisters, have you, who maybe musicians or no?
No, I have a sister who trains horses and did a great job in real estate for a while, and then went back to horses. My mother had a promotional products company, and now she has a construction company that builds metal buildings. My aunt was the head of an oncology department in a hospital in Atlanta for the longest time. So who knows, man? But no one knows where I came from. But I feel like I've always been surrounded by very strong, creative women, and that's at least something. You know?
Well, that's exactly right. Sometimes that's all it takes. You don't always need musical influences to be influenced. Isn't that it? There's Stephen from Belgium. Thanks for tuning in, Stephen.
Hi,
He's
Stephen.
above the Chinese in Washcut, in the town I live in. Hi, Stephen. Thanks for joining. Tell us a little bit about the title track, "Wait No More." Was there an inspiration behind it, or was it just something that
actually
came?
Yeah, when the live album is a mix. When I moved here, it's a long story which we can talk about, but how I eventually got to this band. But the band I work with now, we have done 2 studio albums together, El Mar, which means the ocean, and La Huerta, which means the garden. And it seems like I have a theme going on there, but it really wasn't on purpose. But after these last 2 studio records, we decided to do this live record. And on the live record are some of the songs that we had recorded before, because they have changed over time as they've evolved, and I really wanted to represent what they sound like now. And there's some new material, and one of the songs is "Wait No More." And really, I remember sitting at the bar because Barcelona, Spain is very much about bars. Like everybody's got their bars where it's like their second house. And just, you know, because it's a city where you're in the metro a lot, you're on the bus a lot. It was a walking city. So maybe between one meeting or another, you have 30 minutes. You don't have time to go home. So you stop by the place where your friend works, you say hi. And there's a place called Badia in the Gothic Quarter that's one of the last real Spanish taverns in that area. And I stopped by there to say hi to my friend Rolo, who works there. And he says, "So what about the new album?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I haven't written anything in a while. I've just been busy. But I have a couple of demos from about a year ago. So what do you think?" So I'm sitting at the bar playing him these songs. And that's the one that we decided that we liked. So that became one of the new songs on the record. But over time, I really love that song because for me, it represents kind of the best of the band that I work with, because there's flamenco elements, there's a lot of rock.
It's flamenco rock fusion, really. The band. I mean, watching your videos for this and following you over the years. I mean, the band that you have now, they're stunning. Really, every musician in there, I think, is just up there.
I love working with those guys. Yeah,
it must be some buzz. Absolutely. But look, I'm going to play the song, folks. This is the title track of Tori's brand new live album, and it's called "Wait No More." And check out these fine musicians and this great song. Here we go.
Oh, 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 oh,
Oh, don't make me wait no more. I pray for lightning, I pray for rain, I pray for the phone to ring and you speak my name. Keep the phone on the table by the bed. I keep the receiver right next to my head. Receiver and a razor right next to my head. Back broken from the burden I carry around. It's knowing that my love is running all over town. Time eats away steel, stone and wood. And meanwhile I'm waiting for you to make good. I waste away waiting here for you to make good. Oh, 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 don't make me wait no more. Oh, 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 don't make me wait no more. Hey. You like whiskey, you like pills, you are fever that's making me ill. Oh, but the fever dreams, they are just so sweet. And if I die before I wake, Lord, take me. If I die before I wake, oh, your love. I'm high on the pain, black wings, white sheets. I fall down drunk on sorrow right here in the street. Cause God is in the details and the devil is too. And both are at the gates of hell calling for you. I am at the gates of hell screaming for you. Make me wait
awesome. Beautiful song, powerful.
Thanks.
What a and you did that for 3 hours, did you? so yeah,
Well, it was
great,
crazy, man.
such great passion in your performances. It always was, and indeed, Luke, great performance, great band.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank you. Yeah.
That was really a
no,
special night because it's hard to do something like that live, you know, not just for me, for everybody that was on stage with us.
Yeah, you need a lot of energy, yeah, to put that across.
Yeah, and too, I mean, the people who like with that, to me, to watch that part where the whole audience is singing along and stuff is just, it's still, I don't watch videos myself, obviously. So, I mean, just to see that, I haven't seen it in forever. And it's still emotional because I remember that moment. And you have 500 people in front of you who are people who mostly are your friends, you know, they're there and they care and they're so excited. And then these people behind me, there's 5 musicians who I just love and respect so much. And then you can hear that of the photographers in the front, they're all there just because they're without them, you know, I have such a good relationship with the photographers in Barcelona. They're such good people. They're always there, whether they're getting paid by a magazine or not, they're just there. And it's just this moment when you realize, and that was the point of the live record, no? Like just that it's not you only, it's this team of people that just because you're crazy enough to drag everyone into this situation, that they all came together. And that is so special. That meant a lot.
It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing. Another comment there from a Irish friend of mine, Da Vogue.
I love when people love the cat. That's very cute.
They love the cat. That's going to be a hit on this stream, absolutely. But do you think you know, you perform all over Spain, I suppose, and all over Europe, right? I mean, do you think some of the ladies I've talked on these streams, they say it's a little bit of a tougher world, I think, as a woman on the road. Would you agree with that or disagree with that, or what do you? How do you feel about, you know, the attitude towards being a prominent lady on the road?
It's I mean, it sounds like a cliche to say it's hard because it's like, isn't that what everybody says? But everybody says it because it is, you know. Mm-hmm. You would think that in 2020 we wouldn't still be talking about this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sexism,
racism, Jesus, how much? It's like the U2 song. How long will we sing this song? You know what I mean? But yeah, being a woman, the issue that you run into is that it sounds silly, but people just, you know, the women, they don't take you seriously, and they don't realize that they're not taking you seriously because it's so ingrained in our Western culture sometimes to go into a doctor's office to see a female doctor, and it's like, think that maybe she doesn't know as much as a male doctor. That sounds ridiculous, but it happens all the time. And the same thing with a musician. People tell me all the time, "Wow, you play guitar pretty well for a woman. That's pretty amazing." Oh my God, you're kidding.
Oh wow.
Or we show up at
Yeah,
and people show up at a concert and they want to know who's in charge and who booked the show, who drives everything, who does everything pretty much. Not to sound like all egotistical about it, but who does everything? That would be me. Yeah. And most of the time I'm driving on the road too, and I'm the one that's set up the press conference, and I'm the only one that's got to put on a dress and heels too, by the way. And being a female has not gotten any easier over the years, and I thought that it would. You know, that at some point you'd stop with the. Yeah, baby, you know, let's just take a picture. And as they're taking a picture with you, they're squeezing you, or they're not going to pay you. And it never ends, man. But the upside is that although it's become what you call in Spanish a tópico, which means like a topic of conversation that has become overtalked. The great thing about the modern feminist movement or the Me Too movement is that the least people suddenly have kind of permission to speak about it in a public forum, which I think is good until the day we don't have to anymore.
Yeah.
You know, because for me, my men and women in my life, professionally speaking and personally speaking, are people. Like my bass player is a guy, for example, but I don't see him as a man bass player. I see him as a great bass player. And the woman that sang backup for us, I picked her because I loved her voice. But on the last record, we had a male backup singer just because they're musicians, you know. So it's complicated.
At the end of the day, it's true, absolutely. And speaking of that and freedom of speech, I know you're also an activist. Not only are you a great musician and songwriter, but you are involved in certain activism roles. Can you talk about a little bit about that freedom of speech? For example, I was reading about that and what your work with organizations.
Well, I wasn't ever really, and I still am a political songwriter. So in the music, it's still about, you know, my jerk ex-boyfriends and stuff. But I have really awesome taste in partners, which is great for my career and really
great for songs.
Yes, but
I detect a hint of sarcasm there, Tori.
Oh, always. That's what makes life fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
I know that. You know.
But yeah, but no, as far as the activism part goes, I never was much of an activist before I moved to Barcelona, because Barcelona is a very different world than the US, both in ways that I cherish, which is why I live here, and in ways that are complicated for me to process. No, so I've become much more involved in the feminist movement and in all kinds of different movements. But one of them, the most important one for me, is the freedom of speech movement here, because America has its problems. We all know this. We all see it on the news. But one of the things that I miss about the US is there's this unalienable right to freedom of speech, that you, as a journalist or as a musician or as a guy on the street, you can say anything as long as it's not hate speech, you're not threatening someone, and you're allowed to express your opinion. But in Spain, there's something called la ley mordaza, which means basically like the ley to make you be quiet. And there's an organization called No KRM that started a few years ago, and I'm very involved with them, as well as the Musicians Union. And they fight to raise awareness for and protect and create legal funding for people such as journalists, such as rappers and musicians who are put in jail for their lyrics or their articles. And I feel like I have a special responsibility, being one of the few English-speaking people involved in this movement, because number one, I can explain this to the rest of the world, the non-Spanish speaking world, but also being a blonde chick from the US, people here let you get away with a different kind of attitude sometimes. So,
is it prevalent there in Barcelona and Spain in general, or you know, that people are being, you know, freedom of speech is a big issue? I mean, is it very bad, or is it kind of, you know?
The problem is that it's unevenly enforced is a problem with many laws in Spain in general, is that you never know when you're going to get in trouble. You might say something one day and someone else says the same thing and that guy's in trouble, but you're not. Or, for example, there's a law that says you can't drink on the street. So you'll see tourists walking down the street with a can of beer and nothing happens. And then the next guy gets in trouble. It's just same kind of thing. So the uneven enforcement causes quite a problem. I hope
seems to be one rule for one person and one rule for the next.
No, exactly. And because of that, sometimes I'm really proud of the people who speak out. Like there's a Catalan songwriter whose name is Albert Pla, who's very funny. He's like a comic songwriter. He's also very talented, but he's always pushing the boundaries. And I feel like we need more of that because, you know, I think it was Salman Rushdie who said that, maybe I'm paraphrasing poorly, but he said something along the lines of that no one has the right not to be offended, you know, like in a free world. And what I want for the world, all over the world, not just Spain, not just the US, is, you know, that people can make their art or write their articles or speak about their opinion as just a guy on the street and not have the threat of the government coming after them. So I talk about it a lot, even though there have been times when it has had repercussions for me, but it doesn't matter because it's really important.
It is a very important issue, and I think we as songwriters have a great opportunity and to get up there and speak about issues, sing about issues that maybe other people can't do. You know, we're in a great position to do that. I think as artists, whether you're a performing artist or a visual artist, we have the power, and that's a great thing.
I think it's really, we also do a lot of work with benefit concerts with my band, because even if it's different organizations, not just freedom of speech, no, because at the end of the day, you have a microphone, so why not use it for good? Right?
Yeah, exactly right. I'm going to play a Spanish song. Why not?
Is it a random one or one that we did?
It's also it's also off Wait No More. La Flor de Istanbul. I suppose that means the flower of Istanbul. My Spanish isn't as good as yours. Am I close?
No, that was actually great. Good job. This song was not one that we wrote, actually. This was a song that the piano music was written like 100 years ago by Eric Satie. And then Javier Ruibal, who's a Spanish artist, put words to the music. And then the band I work with, whose name is Calamento, they actually had an instrumental arrangement of this song that was a lot more hardcore, like rock and roll. So we adapted it and put it on the record, and I love this song. And the woman Lena Noir who danced with us is just brilliant.
Gorgeous dancer in this. All right, let's go for it. Here is Tori Sparks, folks, on Raving with Rua, La Flor de Istanbul.
debutó en París, la flor Estambul comenzó a bailar y todo se quedó en silencio. Luz en tornasol, de su mano a la hasta la gracia de su pecho. ¿Y quién no da la vida por un sueño de diosa murada porteño? Mi favorita de sultán, mi esclava inventa la puerta de Oriente. Ella es la estrella de Pigar, la harina que me hirió de muerte. ¿Y quién no da la vida por ser dueño del aire que se agita tras su velo? A conquistarla tu fe, pisando la sorrel de Dios sedente. Ella es la estrella de Pigar, la cantarina que me hirió de muerte. ¿Y quién no da la vida por el dueño del aire que se agita tras su velo? ¿Y quién no da la vida por el dueño? Diosa moderada por el genio. Ay, ay, ay,
Wow. Another rockin' song.
Thanks. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing, is that people see the cajon, which is the box, right? That Javi is playing, which
Yeah.
Javi's like my partner in crime. He's one of my best friends. I love him. People see us when we show up to play a big concert. Like, for example, we opened up for Giuseppe Triani. You know who that is?
Wow.
That guy.
Yeah.
So we show up with that and not a drum kit, and people are like, what?
But he's
But then
amazing. He's an amazing player.
But between him and the bass player and everybody, it's a rock and roll show. You know, it's
Do
a
you
lot
want
of
to
fun.
shout out to the band and let us know who the band members are? Perhaps maybe some
Yes,
who are
I love
watching.
talking about them.
Yeah.
Well, I always talk about them because I feel like I'm not trying to downplay, like I said before, the work that goes into it on my end, but I feel like I love talking about them because I love them so much. Javi, or sometimes in Catalan they call it Xavi with an X. Javi Garcia. He started the trio, which is the Spanish guitar player and the bass player. They're a trio that's called Calamento. And they were already playing their concerts together as a trio for many years. And then we met and we started this collaboration. And but Javi and I also play gigs, just he and I as a duo, and it works really well. So from this collaboration with the three of them, with Javi Garcia, Ramon Bagué is the bass player. He also plays reggae and children's music. He does all kinds of stuff too. He plays with another band called the Penguins. And he's also really involved in the activism stuff with me, and we share that. And then we've got Pepe Camacho, who's the Spanish guitar player, who's been with them from the beginning. But just this past May, he recently kind of retired, and so we have a new Spanish guitar player named Ignacy Cama, who's just as good, except he has curly hair. So people sometimes ask, is he wearing a wig? But he's not. So those are the originals. And then Rubio, the electric guitar player, is an amazing electric player that I collaborated with even before I met these guys. So then I kind of dragged him into this project as well. But I feel like the combination of the Spanish guitar and the electric guitar really makes this band different, because most people are used to either rock or flamenco, no? But when you have a flamenco song, but with rock guitar on top of it, makes it very different. And Javi plays the cajon very differently than a normal flamenco player does. And then when we have the time and the budget, we have Alba Bioque, who's that amazing background singer that you saw in the first video, who's a fantastic flamenco singer who collaborates with us. And then our friend Andres Giraldo, who recorded and mixed the record, who's a sound tech, who for me is like the fifth Beatle, because without your sound guy, you could play amazing, but no one would ever hear it,
Huge sound. And are there other bands, within the area of Barcelona doing that kind of fusion, or are you the only one that you know of, or are there other bands kind of doing something similar, or not really?
Well, it's funny because the answer to that is yes and no. Because on one hand, we're definitely not the first project to consider mixing rock and blues and flamenco, because in the 1980s there's a musician whose name is Enrique Morente, like Eric, but Spanish. So Enrique Morente was one of the most famous flamenco singers in the history of flamenco singers, but he decided to collaborate with a rock band from Granada called I can never say their name properly. I can't say it. It basically means like the lizard named Nick is what the band is called. But they made a record called Omega, which mixes rock and flamenco. And at the time, it's awesome. It's a fantastic record. But people boycotted him. They walked out of his shows. They hated him for it. And it's one of the most important records that's ever come out of this country. So he really influenced a lot of people. And since then, there have been many people. Ojos de Brujo, which are, some of them are friends of mine, was one of the first to become very famous out of Barcelona, which mixed rock, flamenco, and hip hop. And then you have people like El Bicho, who's not from Barcelona, but he mixed blues and flamenco. But I'm the only person that I know of, not to make it sound like I'm so special, but who did it the other way around, where instead of having a flamenco singer who incorporated elements of rock or blues, it's a blues and rock singer who has elements of flamenco. So for that reason, we don't sound like anybody else, but we're definitely not the first band to mix styles.
And of course, there's only one Tori Sparks. That's what we have to remember.
Which is better for the universe, I think. But no, there are two. There's two of them.
Oh, is there?
Yes, I should.
Oh yeah, you got to talk about this. I saw this on your Facebook, and I was really amused by this. So it's not Lego. It's the Tori Sparks. What do you call it?
It's Playmobil.
Yes. Playmobil. That's amazing. Tell us about it.
I had this next to me on purpose because I wanted to show this to you, because this guy, like I said, I have a great relationship with some of the photographers in Barcelona. I feel very lucky because they're artists in their own right, and they're such nice people. But one of them, Frank, is originally from Germany, and he comes out all the time. His name is Frank Eggers, to our shows. And one day, and he makes these photos of these Playmobil versions of the singers that he follows, like myself, like this guy named Loquillo, who's a rock singer from here, and then one day at the show we did a couple weeks ago, he shows up with this Playmobil, which, as you may have noticed, this is us from the CD release show. And this is me with my shoes off, because as you may have seen in the videos, I take my shoes off all the time. And the album cover. And I don't know how he got her back in this bag, but somehow she's in the plastic original bag. It's like mysteries of the universe.
That is amazing. How cool. You're probably the only person saying the Playmobil Tori Sparks. Well, maybe he's planning on manufacturing them.
I told him he should. No, I always tell my
Oh,
friends,
cool.
you know, like if you can ever sell anything that has anything to do with us and make money off it, just do it. I don't
Do
care.
it.
Just go
So
for
it's
it.
free, you've given them free reign to market you.
Yes, but he said
Okay,
that he just does this for fun because you know it's
that's
like it kind of
incredible, though.
reminds you that people have a passion for. Sometimes when you feel like, what is the point? You know, because there's days when
Yeah.
you have bad days. Something like that makes you feel like your whole heart just melts. You know, you're like, what? Of course, I have to keep doing this crazy music thing because there are people who took the time to make a Playmobil with removable shoes.
It's a fantastic thing.
You know.
Do you have any you know, I was talking to some other artists before and these things, and they were talking about, you know, getting any kind of financial investment or record company backing, or are you solely doing this alone on your own? Do you have a Patreon? Do you have people who can kind of donate to your band in any other way financially apart from maybe buying merch?
Well, no, because there's bands that I know who are very successful at that kind of thing because of the kind of band they are. Like, for example,
Yeah.
I'm sort of semi collaborating in the production of an album of some friends of mine, Alma de Boquerón, who's a Rimba band, and their kind of public is the God. They're so great. They will be the first ones to like get on there and give you like the €5 to try to make your
Yeah.
record and stuff like that. And I think that if I asked the people who are my public that they would do the same, because like I said, I feel like really blessed, not only in Barcelona and Spain, but in the world in general with
In
the kind of
general,
public that we have. But maybe it's just me and the kind of profile we have as our project, but I feel bad asking. I feel like I want to make the record and then ask people after, if you want to support us, come to the shows, buy the record. And that's
yeah.
just, it's a different kind of thing. Whereas this kind of Roomba band, for example, it's a very familial kind of down home thing. It's just a different profile. I don't know how to explain it. It's not better or worse.
Yeah,
It's
so
just different.
you've never crowdfunded or asked people to buy something in advance, for example, to help you create something. No.
No, although it's not a bad idea. And I definitely, like I said before, people who do it, I think it's great. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure why, but I've always just felt like, I don't know, I want to ask people for the support once they hear it. And I want people to come to the show, and that's how they're going to support us. Because at the end of the day, if the people have been following me or us, you know, after 7 albums, you'd think that, you know, if they like you, they're going to like you.
Yeah.
But it's just, it
It's great.
feels wrong for me personally. But I think when other
Sure.
people do it, it's great.
I think if it works for you and the band that way, and you can, you know, you can earn enough to cover costs, then I think it's a great way to do it. Then you're, as I said, you're lucky. You're lucky that you can do it. A lot of artists, you know, there are artists bigger than you and I who are trying, you know, have to crowdfund to make anything happen these days. You know what I mean? So I think if you can go to a gig and do CD launch and people buy that album, and you have enough to continue on doing what you're doing, then it's a great thing.
Well, like I said,
Definitely, yes.
I'm really lucky in that sense of the support we've received, but also, you know, I mean, I make my living playing music, but also I have, for example, I have rights that, what do you call it? Royalties that come in
Royalties, yeah.
from the songs being used in commercials. And then, although
Great.
it's not
That's
my,
happened for you too. That's fantastic. Yeah.
no, it's been really helpful. And also, I mean, my family, my mother specifically has supported me a lot. Even though she's not, you know, it's not like she's a rich person, she's a businesswoman,
Sure.
but she's made it possible for me to do a lot of things I couldn't have done on my own. I sometimes do things that aren't music related, like, music related. Also, I'll teach a master class or something at a university or at a school, or I'll teach a private lesson or stuff that's not music related, where I'll, for example, do a translation from English into Spanish because I can.
Wonderful.
And you do other things sometimes to make some extra money, because then I can go out and see other friends play and support them, you know, or buy a record by someone else, right? But
Yeah.
generally speaking, I also play a lot. I play a lot, whether it's with the band or it's by myself at this outdoor festival in front of 40,000 people, or at a bar sometimes by myself, because my job is music. And when people see that, sometimes they're like, oh, you know, you should really only play in those festivals for those 40,000 people. It's like, do you want to pay my electricity bill, man? I'm doing what I
Not
can
only
here.
that, but I mean, even doing, I haven't played for 40,000 people, but I've often found that sometimes the smaller gigs, the more intimate gigs, are much more enjoyable than the big
Also.
festivals thing. I don't know if you find that, but I certainly did over the years, that sometimes playing for a house concert or playing for a room of 20, 30 people can be much more intimate and enjoyable than going out there doing it for a bigger crowd. What do you think?
Also, I mean, there's for two reasons. Number one, for example, there's a place we play a lot in Barcelona called Cafe Rock and Roll, and man, you really see the effort that these small venues put into sustaining live music. And you make better money than you do at the big shows, because at the big shows you've had to pay everyone a ton of money, and you've had to pay publicity and ads, and you almost always lose money on like the huge shows. But the little shows, you make money, you have a wonderful time, you meet nice people, they treat you well, they're so excited that you're there, and you can improvise and make up stuff that maybe you wouldn't do on a big stage. And I really, really always will be a huge defender of the small format, intimate music spaces.
Yeah.
And also because those are the people that once they've seen you there, they're going to come see you at the big shows. So
Also,
I mean, I think they have huge value. It's just that I like to make that very clear that it's a necessity, but it's also a choice where there are some small venues I would never play again if I just had so much money that I could choose.
Yeah.
But there are others like Cafe Rock and Roll where I hope that I would always, even if it's like an unannounced show or just one day we show up, always play these places, because they're the places that keep you going and they keep the local scene going, you know?
absolutely right. And when you do come out to like Holland or Germany, wherever you are up north, do you generally do it as a solo or duo, or I mean, depending on the budget, I suppose, whether you bring other musicians? It's always the case. Huh?
Well, it's funny because it's always about money, right? Even though it shouldn't be, but it is. At the end of the day, there's tours where I've made a lot of money or I've lost money or something, but you always try to make it that you break even or make money. That's the idea, right? Okay. And in Germany and in these northern countries, the expectations are different. Like in Spain, even though I love living here and I love the life I've been able to build here and the people in my life, when you ask, is there a hotel? Is there dinner with the money? Depending on who you're talking to, yes. And depending on who you're talking to, they kind of like laugh at you. Whereas in Germany, if you say, is there a hotel? Is there dinner? They're like, yeah. It's like, oh, okay, I don't know. So, I mean, when you go up north, first of all, the budgets are bigger, they're different. And people take life a bit more seriously when it comes to work up there, which Barcelona is like the best city ever if you have nothing to do. But if you're just going to go have fun, but if you're working, sometimes the informality of it all can be a bit challenging. Whereas if you go up north, things are very straightforward. If it's the sound checks at 7, if you arrive at 7:05, you're like in trouble. So when we tour up there, what I tend to do is go the first few shows with my percussion player, Javi, and I, and then bring the band along. And that way the tour usually works out. But that is why we tour, is because depending on where you go, it's easier or harder to make money. But the equilibrium in the end ends up kind of going back and making sense.
Absolutely right. I'm going to play one more song from you, and then I'm going to have another quick chat with you before we say adios.
Muy bien, tu español, toma. Muy bien. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this song, Mama, which is also from your live album.
Mama is a song that some of the songs on this record were new songs, and some were songs from my old records from Nashville that we remade into flamenco-ish songs. And some songs were songs we wrote, I don't know, long story. But this is one that was actually on the last album I recorded in the US. And then we put it on another record here, and then we put it on the live album. And it was a song I wrote for my mother, who's actually listening. I was texting her on the break. Hi, Mom. And she's just awesome. And because most people's moms have like this sweet folky song that someone writes for them, but my mom totally deserved a rock song because she's awesome.
I don't know. Yeah, she's a rock chick.
Yeah. And I love this song because in the middle of it, I get to introduce the band. And like I said, I love them. So it was a nice opportunity to be like, applause for these guys.
What a band. I love your band. I really do.
Thank you.
Right, we're going to hear Mama, folks, from the wonderful Tori Sparks. Here we go.
Ain't no straight and narrow path. I'm walking alone. Yes, I'm beset. Oh. aside by temptation, offering me right. And don't he look good with his smile? But I know better shine. Oh, I gotta keep my foot out of my mouth. I gotta keep the devil out of my house, yeah. Make sure when I go down south that I can find my way back home, oh, yeah. Now when the rain comes down, I look for higher ground, and I know that I'll be found when I'm lost. Honey, mama didn't raise no weak will. Oh, my love. Oh, my day, baby, they've been marked by trouble. Yes, in 1,000 ways. No, I don't go seeking each shade. No, it seems to be done to me. Oh, like black glass to a flame. I can hear their sickening buzzing. I put my ears because I gotta keep my foot out of my mouth and the devil out of my house, yeah. Make sure when I go down south that I can find my way back home, oh yeah. Now when the rain comes down, I look for higher ground, oh, and I know that I'll be found when I'm lost. Honey, mama didn't raise no weak will. Woman, no. Oh, when that wind comes calling, honey, I know that that bit of fruit will be falling. I gotta keep my foot out of my mouth, the devil out of my house. Now make sure when I go down sound I can find my way back home, oh yeah. Now when the rain comes down, I look for higher ground, oh, and I know that I'll be found when I'm lost. 'Cause honey, mama didn't raise no weak will woman, didn't raise no weak will woman.
Absolutely incredible band, and you're an incredible performer, and your mum will be absolutely proud of that song.
I can hear her on the recording. That's one of my favorite things about this record is you can hear everybody like friends of mine going, "Woo!" It's totally fun.
Was she there at the gig?
Yeah, she got to come, which was great because
Amazing.
I wanted her to see that show, which was probably the most important show I've ever done because it was the record, no? So it was really
Yeah.
important to me that she was there, and yeah, just it was a pleasure to be able to, because she's seen me play in like the weirdest places, you know what I mean, over the years. So to be
I
able
can
to,
imagine she has.
this is what we're doing.
Your real daughter in action. Yeah, it's lovely when they get to experience the growth and to see you in different stages, and yeah, well, it would have been a wonderful show to be at. You look like you had a very warm audience and a very big audience.
Yeah, well, like I said, I've been lucky because it's very, you know what this is like, no? To go to a new country that's not yours. So, I mean, when I moved here, I didn't speak any Spanish. I didn't know anybody, nobody. I had an acquaintance who was an acquaintance of a sort of an acquaintance, a different acquaintance. So it was like a second degree acquaintance, one guy, right? And his family, though, in the end ended up almost adopting me. They're almost like my family. I spend Christmas Eve with them. And at the end, you find your home in the weirdest places, you know? So I feel like in spite of the fact that there are many difficulties here when you're trying to make a life in not only another country with another language, but another culture, and also Spain's just crazy. But the positive aspect of my life here is so positive that whenever I start to get frustrated, I stop and look at, you know, the audience that was there that night, the friends in my life, the band I have, the house I have, the insane cat that I have, and just think, you know what, this is great. You know,
we got to stand back sometimes and appreciate those things. Absolutely, we have. But I want to thank you very, very much, Tori, for taking the time out to talk to us tonight.
I was excited to see you again.
Yeah, it's been too long, and hopefully, you know, maybe before you get your Grammy, we'll come back and do it again. We do.
So does that mean, so if we do this like tomorrow, then I'll be winning in like 3 days? Because I think it sounds like a plan.
Well, I'd say you'll sell at least 85,000 records after doing this. So that's the first thing you got to get ready for all these album sales.
No, I mean, Grammy would be lovely, obviously, but you know what means the most is just like the weird one-on-one interactions where you have someone come up to you at the end of a show and be like, I had the worst day ever, and thank you for that. No, those are the things that really mean something. So, and then, you know, people like you who take the time to do this random thing that, like, it's not like you just call and say, hey, I met you like in some island 10 years ago. Do you want to do an interview? I mean, this thing is fun. So I was really
there's that. But I've been following you. I know you've had a wonderful career, you know, well before that and since. So I've been kind of stalking you in the wings.
No, thank you. Well, you're one of the stalkers that I have I'm fine with that. I have some that I'm like, no.
I can imagine you must have a few. I'm a good stalker. Don't worry, it's okay.
You're a good stalker. Plus, you're funny. So many people put stuff on Facebook that's so not even funny or relevant. You're like, I don't care that you're eating sushi right now, you know. Whereas you're so funny. So thank you for that.
Thanks very much. At least I'm doing something good, at least on social media. That's good. And but look, thanks very much. And you have stuff coming up. I'm sure everything will be linked here, lads, on torisparks.com. There it is underneath.
So always on the website. Exactly. And we try to, I would like to try to this year tour as much as possible, although right now it's mostly dates in Barcelona and around Barcelona in this region through at least March. But later, the rest of the year, the idea is to tour more, and next year as well, because we're still touring in support of this new record. So hopefully we'll see you.
Absolutely. And if you're ever up north, let me know. I'm sure I'll be stalking you anyway. I'll know.
Yes,
bring some of those little dolls with you so I can put one in the RWR room. Yeah.
We just need one of you. So we have like our little interview, you know, it's like, I'm sorry,
Barbie.
what?
Yeah, Barbie and Ken. We can just do it like we won't even need to be here. We'll just use the two little dolls. That'd be great.
Oh my God, I'm going to send my doll on tour. I'm going to stay here with the cat. The doll's going to tour, and I'm going to make millions.
That's crazy good. I love it. I love it. The best of luck with the record and with all the tours and gigs. Anybody who's around the Barcelona area, I'm sure will check you out. They know you very well at this stage. But it was lovely talking to you, and I hope that we'll see each other in 2020 down the road.
So. Thank you. Good luck with your other RWR room.
The RWR room stuff. Yeah.
And your own music, and thanks for the time.
Thanks very much. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Right, folks, there you go. The wonderful and talented Tori Sparks, all the way from Barcelona. Her website is torisparks.com. Her new album is called Wait No More. So check it out and get a copy of it. It's really, really great. I was listening to it here at least on the YouTubes. We shall see each other very soon, folks. Thank you all for joining. Anybody who's come in live, we appreciate you being here. Thank you very much for all the comments. And please feel free to share this video or any other videos from the RWR Room. Thanks as always to the wonderful G-Sharp Guitars for sponsoring the stream, and for Tori Sparks, of course, for taking the time out to talk to us. And I'll see you all on the next Raving with RWR, folks. Take care of yourselves.